Hello everyone and welcome back to Tartan Samurai Gaming, and today by viewer request we are playing Streets of Rage for the Sega Mega Drive. One of my personal favourites, this one, and I am looking forward to getting stuck into this today. Really was a genre defining game. Very simple premise: the streets are awash with crime. Three young police officers have quit the force amidst the corruption, and they are going out there to stop the syndicate and to cleanse the streets of rage. And let's have a look at this. Okay, I think we're good to go with the default options, so let's get into it. And my personal favourite is Adam, so we'll be using him. And fans of video game soundtracks know that this game is iconic in that sense. One of Yuzo Koshiro's finest works. I also played another of his musical compositions on Revenge of Shinobi last week, so be sure to check that out on the channel as well. And no doubt we will play more of his games as we advance through the Mega Drive's history, because Streets of Rage 1 and 2 are perhaps his finest work, but he did a lot of good stuff for a lot of games back in the day, and he still does compose music regularly, I believe. And funnily enough, he was also a heavy part of the development of this game beyond just the music, as was his sister Ayano, who was also a fantastic game developer in her own right. This is just level 1, so it's really just about getting used to the controls, getting a feel for the attacks, and you have weapons and you can use them. So we have a bottle at the moment, but we don't have anybody to hit it with, and I'm going to swap that out for the lead pipe, which has a much longer reach and therefore makes it far more efficient for bad guy disposal. Good variety of villains here as well. You can see we've got ninjas, we've got street thugs, we'll have girls with high heels and whips showing up in a minute as well, to add a bit of spice to proceedings. Lovely little background scrolling effect there to introduce the new villain type as well. I also like the fact that you can hit multiple targets with one attack if you time it right. And we are almost at the boss here. We just have to take out a few straggling enemies. And it's boss time. And this first boss isn't that difficult, you just have to be careful to avoid his kick. Like so. Adam's not the fastest, but he has a lethal jump kick, which sets him above Axel in my opinion. And our man is down, and we will get full health, and hopefully a nice little bonus for finishing the level so efficiently. Round 1 is clear, and we're into round 2. Round 2, more of the same really, but gradually stepping up the difficulty and increasing the volume of enemies, and also introducing some new enemy types as well. These yellow guys with the pink hair, you have to be careful for them, because if they suddenly stop, that means they're shaping up to perform a slide attack, which is very difficult to avoid as it has extremely fast frame rate. Now, whenever you see a guy with a knife, take them down quickly, because they might just suddenly start charging across the screen at you at a speed that is very hard to avoid. And we have an apple there for extra health, but we're going to delay picking that up until we take a bit more damage, because we don't really need it right now. Although I think at this point I have to move forward, so I'm going to collect it. And there is our first extra life. And we will get another one in a few minutes as well, once we hit 50,000 points. Just as well, really. If I'm going to take beatings like that. Now, one of the mildly frustrating things about this game, the bosses are not that difficult, but it's the regular thugs that will sneak up behind you while you're fighting the boss that will actually cause you the most trouble. These ninjas are usually pretty easy to deal with, they do have a pretty powerful sidekick that they tend to chamber and unleash if you give them the chance. And there's our 50,000 points, and we're now up to 5 lives. We have some extra health there, but we don't need that just yet. And this is one of our new enemy archetypes, the juggler. He's juggling axes, as you can see. And his axes can actually block your attacks. And also, if he just happens to cross your path, he will cause damage. So you want to take care of him quickly. And it's boss time again. This Freddy Krueger type character with the big claws is a bit of a difficult customer if you're not careful. He has a habit of breaking your combination attack like that, which can be quite frustrating. Funny how, you know, he has the claws, but also facially he kind of looks a bit like Robert Englund, which is obviously no coincidence. And he's down. Freddy's not coming for me tonight. And on to level 3. So yeah, of course, that was a bit of a trope with Sega in the days of the Mega Drive. The early Mega Drive was basing a lot of the boss characters for their games on, shall we say, popular characters that they didn't necessarily have the copyright to. If you saw my Shinobi playthrough, you'll know what I mean. You know, the likes of Spider-Man and Batman and the Incredible Hulk, Terminator, Godzilla, they all showed up. Rambo. And what we had there was a relatively mild Freddy Krueger ripoff by Sega's usual standards of the time. But as you'll see, the boss of this level is a little bit less subtle in its homage to popular culture. We just gently move through the level here. Pick up the health power up as we go. Watch out for the ninjas, and like I said, those side kicks are dangerous. But also, they are kind enough to line up for you like that, so you can just catch them all with the same flying kick. Again, a bit of a trope with these beat-em-up games of the time, and still today really, is that while you are fighting one character, you've got to watch for another one who will probably sneak behind you and try and catch you off guard. I mean, the characters in Streets of Rage do have back attacks to counter this, but Adams is a little bit too slow to really be effective, unfortunately. And we are almost ready to move forward here. We just more bits of cleanup to do. Oh, and it's boss time. And look who it is. It's the Ultimate Warrior. Although definitely not the Ultimate Warrior for copyright reasons. Now what you can do here if you time it right is just keep jumping and kicking, and he will literally just run into your foot. There we go. And onward to level 4. Level 4's boss is arguably the most difficult in the game. But if you know the strategy, he can go down fairly quickly. This is also the level that introduces insta-death pitfalls that you have to be aware of. And we are closing in on another extra life because once we get to 150,000, we'll be looking at another extra life. So the way the point system works in Streets of Rage is that you get extra lives at 50, 150, 250 and 350,000 respectively. If you get beyond that without losing a continue, you're doing quite well. It's probably not going to be me because I haven't played this game for quite a while. Although I did play the excellent Streets of Rage 4 fairly recently. Highly recommend that. Really good modernisation of this game. And you get to play as Adam again for the first time since the 1991 original that we're playing now. So, well, it's good for a guy who would have to be in his 50s by now. Forward here and try to draw these villains towards the pitfalls, or just take them out as they come. And there's another extra life. Lovely. Back up to 5. Now let's see if we can put one of these guys in the pit. There's one. Lovely. And one more for good measure. Now you have to be careful here because the enemies are not dumb enough to walk off that ledge, but you could if you're not careful. So make sure you stay in the top half of the screen as we cross this pit here. The idea of these pitfalls, I think, was clearly something that they took from Golden Axe, which came out a couple of years earlier. And was really a precursor to Streets of Rage because it's basically Streets of Rage meets Conan the Barbarian. Though obviously without James Earl Jones, God rest him. we're back at full health, which we're gonna need because the boss battle is imminent. Yeah, these knife guys are a real pain because they will just walk straight through your attacks sometimes. Now you notice there I was able to tech the throw. If you hold B and C just as you're about to land, if you're lucky, you will land on your feet and not take any damage. It is slightly harder to pull off in this game than it was in later Streets of Rage games though. And here's the boss. A big man who's had one too many chili dogs. Now what you want to do with him is when he comes up here, try to grab him if you can. Get that guy out of the way. Now, trick here is just to keep hitting him. Now see if you can just keep stun locking him here so he doesn't have a chance to use his flame attack. Unfortunately, if he goes off screen, you'll just have to wait for your next turn. Now, do not try and suplex this guy, so when he does that, make sure you jump in front of him, and he's down. And we have another extra life. Like I said, that boss can do a lot of damage very quickly, but if you know the strategy, it's pretty straightforward. And now, level 5. I'm on a boat. I'm on a boat. I think you know the rest. Nice kind of a swaying motion that they worked into the graphics here to try and convey the idea of being at sea. Clever little graphical trick. It's the thing with the 16-bit days, Mega Drive and Super Nintendo equally, you really had to make the most of pretty limited hardware, and some of the creative ideas that people would utilise, like this idea of a boat-based level, really, it really is genius when you think about it. It's so creative. Pepper spray there, making these guys a bit sneezy and unable to fight for one hit. And this level is also the first time that we're going to have to fight a mini-boss, because our old pal, definitely not the Ultimate Warrior, comes back for round 2, about midway through the level. But the thing is, when you fight sub-bosses in this game, they're actually easier because they don't have regular thugs backing them up, so you can focus exclusively on the boss, which makes them a lot easier to take down actually. And you'll notice as well the colour of the enemies is changing as we're moving through to symbolise a levelling up of difficulty. So the red ones go down with, I think, 2 or 3 hits, whereas the black ones might take 3 or 4 hits. Really is beautifully animated, this level, with the background scrolling as well. You've got the boat, the ocean, and the solid background all moving at slightly different speeds, and then you have enemies just jumping in from overboard. It really is beautifully put together. Full energy health, whatever. I'm not going to pick that up yet because we don't actually need it for the time being, and we do have to contend with Mr. Definitely Not Ultimate Warrior here. The only difficult part with these sub-bosses is because they're not main bosses, they don't have an energy bar, so it's sometimes difficult to gauge how long they have to go left in the battle. Classic tactic there of sneaking behind you while you attack a different target. Ninjas are particularly good at that with their cartwheeling and somersaulting. Oh, and there's an extra police attack, which hopefully we won't need, but it'd be good to have it up in stock anyway, because this next boss is Bit of a difficult one. Oh. Watch out for the flamethrowers. And the Axeman. As we say in Glasgow, I don't care if you're a Viking, get that axe out the dartboard. Dad jokes are free on this channel. And he's down. Another good thing about this game is they really do seem to space out the health pickups to time just when you need them. You know, just when you feel like you're getting a little bit low on health, usually a screen or two later you'll find some health to perk you up. And now it's time for the boss. And this time the boss is Blaze, or two Blaze lookalikes who have the same fighting style she does. And the trick here is to try and just catch them with jump kicks as they're getting ready to jump on you. So when you see her bending her knee there, like chambering for a jump kick, that is when you launch into your attack. Hopefully you'll catch her before she gets her kick off. Because once she launches her flying kick, she will always beat you in a 50-50, so don't try and enter into the 50-50, it's not worth it. All things being equal though, this battle's going quite well so far. Although if I take too much more damage, I might just use a police to get this done quickly. Oh, there's one down. And like all bosses, once you take care of their backup on their own, they are not that difficult. One more should do it. Oh dear, be careful here. There we go. And she's down. And we're closing in on another extra life. There we go, 252,000. Brings us up to 7 lives. Now, level 6. Some nice reused sound effects here from Revenge of Shinobi. For the crushers that you will encounter in a moment. Now these female attackers do sometimes have this annoying habit of just crouching down when you hit them, so the idea is to hit them with your most powerful attack so that it becomes less of a problem. And these red guys represent the street thugs in their final, most powerful form, so they can be a bit of a pain if you're not careful. Now this is the Crusher. And that is a recycled sound effect from Revenge of Shinobi level 4. And yes, I know I'm quite a sad person for realising that, but hey, I love my games, what can I say? And another sub-boss, but again, he will be considerably easier this time because he doesn't have any backup. Famous last words. case of trying to get him once and then stun locking him. Problem is, Adam is the slowest of the three characters, so that also means when he's trying to maneuver out the way of a fireball, he does tend to get caught. Now here, okay, vault in front, and now try and just stun lock, keep hitting, don't allow him to get his fireball off, and he's down. And a much welcome health power up awaits us. And when that little red light flashes, that's when you step back, because that means that the crusher is about to activate. And of course enemies can get caught under the crushers as well, so it is satisfying if you have the time to lure an enemy underneath one of them, but easier said than done. Now these twin conveyor belts here can work to your advantage if you use them right, in terms of bringing the enemies towards you, but also moving you away from the enemy if you want to attack from distance. The range of these weapons really is superb. Makes everything a whole lot easier. Oh. And that's the danger. If you get tagged by the same enemy multiple times, can get into a form of stun lock and you will just keep taking damage until your energy is almost gone. Ah, thank you, Crusher. Something I'm sure Captain Picard said often in his career. One for the Star Trek fans there. And another extra life, which is just as well because we're almost out of health here. And now it's time to move on. We are nearing the end of the level here, hence why there's a great increase in the number of crushers. It wasn't actually stated in the manual what kind of factory this is, but I think the implication is that it's some sort of munitions plant for the for the crime syndicate. Excuse me, because there's a very similar level in Streets of Rage 2 that is quite clearly just a munitions factory. And he's down now. It is time for the boss, and it's Freddy Krueger times 2. 1, 2. Once again, Freddy is coming for you, but 3, 4, we are going to lock the door. And I think we'll use one of our attacks here since our energy is running a bit low. This won't quite take out one of them, but it will do plenty damage. And it's hurt the other one too. The thing with these guys is you cannot jump kick them. If you try to jump kick them, they will do this weird kind of teleport thing, which just makes them even harder to hit. And we'll use our secondary attack here, because if we're going to lose a life anyway, we might as well. One down, one to go. And he's down 2. Excellent. So we miss out on our level bonus, but on the other hand, we do get clear with 8 lives intact. Looking good with 2 levels to go. And of course, stage 7 is the, well, it's mandatory for a beat 'em up game, an elevator level. I think it was Final Fight that first pioneered this idea, but it's in pretty much every scrolling beat 'em up that you'll find at some form or another. And the good thing is with this as well, you can just throw the bad guys over the edge, which is always satisfying. Especially if you can just break their back on the ledge on the way over, like so. And we move up. And of course the idea being here is that we're headed towards the top of the skyscraper, which is the Crime Syndicate's headquarters. Again, very similar to Final Fight in terms of tone, but nothing wrong with that. Final Fight was a great game. One that we definitely need to cover in a future playthrough. And we're heading up another level now. I think after this level we've got 2 more, and then it's on to the boss. And I'm almost out of life here, so I'm just going to use my police attack, since I'm going to drop a life anyway. Oh, there we go. But that's okay, because we're on 327,000, so we should be getting back up to 8 lives pretty soon. And up we go again. Yep, second from last section now. This is a short level, but a fun level. Shoulder throw, and we'll shoulder throw the ninja as well, because we can. Yeah, that one was just annoying me. She had to go over the ledge. Had to be done. And we are on to the final section of level 7 now. And I've always wondered if the programmers of this game spent a lot of time in Osaka, because that skyline there reminds me so much of Osaka, where I lived for a number of years. Beautiful city. One that gets a bit of a bad rep from certain people in Japan, because, you know, it has this reputation of being some sort of hive of crime and whatever, but no, I found it to be a wonderful city, wonderful people, and I still visit there regularly. Even though I'm living elsewhere in Japan now. Now, can we make it out of this level with all our energy intact? Oh yes we can, lovely. This should put us back up to 8 lives. Yep. The extra life sound is also taken from Revenge of Shinobi. I'm not sure if that was the first game to use it, but it's definitely the same sound. And we're on to level 8, the final level, and we will have a kind of a boss rush here, as is customary for a lot of games of this type. You'll also notice as we progress through the level, it's still mostly nighttime outside. We will move towards daybreak as we head towards the final boss, because you know, the idea is, I think, supposed to be that Streets of Rage takes place over the course of one night. There's been rumours for years of a movie adaptation of this. I really hope it does happen. I think Streets of Rage and Shinobi would both be primed for movie adaptations, especially considering, you know, Sega might be inclined to take a bit more risk now that they've had some success with the Sonic movies thus far. And I think this is where we're going to fight the first boss in a moment, once we take out these villains. And enter the level 1 boss again. Notice he moves a little bit faster this time. It's subtle, but I think that for the final level, the boss rush, the characters have had their movement speed and their attack power just ever so slightly increased. I think their health points are about the same though, because he went down fairly quickly. Great thing with the ranged weapon like this is you really can just let the bad guys come at you and just smack them down. Notice how we're moving towards daylight now. Enter definitely not Freddy. Let's face it, Freddy would be far more competent. And he's down. So on to the next little section before we fight the next sub-boss. And here's a pepper spray, which I'm going to throw at this guy. Again, the minor enemies as well take just slightly more damage to put down when you get to this final level. Everything's just slightly more difficult, but as long as you stick to the same techniques that you've used throughout the game thus far, you'll do fine. And each boss has a set pattern in order to beat them, so just stick to that and you'll do fine. It's time for Ultimate Warrior. Keep jump kicking. Let's see if we can do it without getting hit this time. Oh, that's satisfying. Now we move forward, and again it's getting closer and closer to daylight. Just throw a knife at that ninja. Don't try this at home, kids. In a moment though, we will fight a black variant of these ninjas who are a lot faster, and their kicks do a lot more damage, so you have to be careful with them. But first we've got old hot dog man here to contend with. Oh dear. Unfortunately, once he goes off screen, it becomes more difficult to properly do damage. This is it now. If we can just keep stunning him, keep the stun lock going, and he's down. We move forward again. Only one more boss in the boss rush to go, the Blaze Twins. So we will fight them in a moment. But again, this is the final form of these ladies with the whips, so slightly more damaging, take slightly more hits to take down. And then these are the black ninjas I was talking about a moment ago. Again, they have that habit of attacking you all in a straight line, making it easy to pin them with a single attack. And there's the door to the final boss, but first we got to take care of some unfinished business. Notice how they do that kick with like 2 or 3 strikes in a single kick. That does a lot. That can take out half your health bar if it catches you the wrong way, so you've really got to watch for that. Little assortment of villains here just before we face our final sub-boss. I think now it's time for the Blaze Twins. Yep, there they are. So same as before, just jump kicks are your best friend. If you do get thrown, do your best to try and tech it. Again, Adam's slightly slower jump speed there works against him. But we're doing okay here. We are dishing out damage as we're taking it, so it shouldn't be too long to put these two down. Gotta watch that timer as well, because if we get a time over we will lose a life. Although the looks of it, I think we're about to lose a life here anyway. Yeah. The good thing is though, the time now resets to 60, so we don't have to worry about that anymore. And one down, one to go. Excellent. Very difficult to land a combo on them, but if you get lucky and just grab the right side of them as they land. And there's Mr. X, the big boss. Absolutely not. Oh dear, don't mind you being brave, son, don't try to be famous, as my dad would say. And like the typical coward, he sends in his goons to get walloped before he dares join the fight himself. And when he does join the fight, he's got a machine gun because he's a crime boss. Crime bosses don't fight fair. He's also a video game final boss, so he's kind of obligated to not fight fair. The hardest part of this is getting his energy to turn orange. Once the energy bar turns orange, you know that you're not far away from finishing him. Right, so we're now into okay, we're about halfway there. And he's done. So Mr. X is down for the count. And we get some pretty decent bonus there as well. Just quickly put my name in here. Tartan Samurai Gaming. And now we can enjoy the end sequence. So Mr. X lies defeated. Our 3 heroes have come through. Unfortunately, as I mentioned in previous playthroughs, a lot of Japanese companies of the time did not allow programmers to put their real names in the credits, so you'll get all of these nonsensical anglicised nicknames that are put in instead. Somebody there called Nandimo, which literally means anything. Yuzo Koshiro got his name in there though. You can't keep a genius like that anonymous. And as our heroes look upon the sunset, I will bring today's playthrough to a close. So I'll say thank you for joining me here on Tartan Samurai Gaming. And if you did enjoy this, please share, subscribe, follow, like, comment, all the usual nonsense. And thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.